I've just read a report online in the independent newspaper, and it just really reasserts why I can never vote Conservative. Um, this case, unfortunately, is far from unique. In fact, cases similar to this have been rife for the past 8 years, and I don't think it gets anywhere near the sort of coverage it should get. I'm not going to read out the whole article because it is quite long, but if you bear with me, I'm going to read out a bit of it and then share some of my thoughts. A mentally ill woman has had her disability benefits stopped because her assessor failed to turn up to a home visit, leaving her unable to buy basic groceries and suffering high levels of anxiety. Michelle Maloney, 40, was left hundreds of pounds down after she was informed by the Department for Work and Pensions that because she didn't go, the assessment her disability living allowance (DLA) would stop, and her personal independent payment (PIP) had been refused. Capita, the company subcontracted by the government to carry out disability benefit assessments, has since said the assessor arrived at the wrong time and apologised to Miss Maloney that their service fell short of its high standards. Miss Maloney, who lives in Nottinghamshire and suffers from bipolar disorder type 2, severe anxiety, and has a history of self harm, received a letter from the DWP on the 28th of February stating that her PIP claim had been refused. It went on to state, "This is because you didn't go to the assessment on 14th of February 2018, and we didn't think you've given us a good reason for this." I'm angry just reading this. When Miss Maloney sent a letter of complaint to Capital with the help of a friend, they responded on 14th of March saying that based on information they had received from the assessor, and this is in inverted commas, a description of her house, meant they were unable to uphold the complaint. I don't know what that means. But after being contacted by the Independent, Capita sent Miss Maloney another email on the 28th of March, that's a full fortnight later, stating, "Following a further review of your appointment on 14th of February 2018, it became apparent that the disability assessor attended your property earlier than the scheduled appointment time. DWP agreed to send the case back to Capita for a new appointment. I can confirm an appointment that's been rescheduled for 9:15 on Monday the 16th of April at your home address." Um, and like I say, the report continues. You know, the best I can say about this is it shows incredible incompetence by the DWP and these morally bankrupt, profit-making bodies, contractors that the DWP uses. I think they're absolutely reprehensible. Capita is one of them. They claim that they have fallen short of the usual high standards. Um, Anyone makes a profit off off the back of people who are struggling are despicable. Atos is another one. A4E. Sensia was one I went through about 10 years ago. These Maximus is another one. They're faceless. The CEOs of these organizations never have to face a public. Organizations never have to face a public. And I have no doubt they get huge bonuses. I think it's utterly disgusting. And I have a strong mind to write a strongly worded email or letter to them. But sadly, this case is not unique. I'm going to cite another case, if you bear with me. Kenny Bailey suffers from severe memory problems and is paralysed on one side due to having a massive stroke in 2014. Following an operation, a third of his skull was removed to reduce pressure on his brain, resulting in a large dent in his head, and he is awaiting further surgery to insert metal plates to his skull. The DWP has just declared him fit for work. That's from, I've got another news report up on my screen. This has been typical of the last 8 years of Tory government. Why am I making this partisan? New Labour wasn't much better, it has to be said. But the fact of the matter is, The Conservatives were partly brought to government on this populist pledge of making the unemployed, work for the benefits. And it is absolutely irrefutable that they have relied on the most cynical populism with a nod to Tory supporting tabloids and the likes of Paul Dacre. Because creepsick Paul Dacre will never ever report a case like this. Credit to the Independent and credit to their follow-up as well. That's good journalism. And without that, this sort of thing wouldn't even be reported. And I will say one thing, this is important. I've been very critical of Jeremy Corbyn, and I don't take away any of the things that I am sceptical of. I still believe that there's a lot of areas in foreign policy that are serious question marks about a Corbyn government. But, and this is a very big but, to have an effective opposition in this country, you do need a party and a leader who is willing to speak out against the way the Tories treat the unemployed and claimants. And to be fair, Corbyn has been doing that. It sickens me the way the Tories, what they have done. The DWP was set up, our welfare state, let's go further back, the welfare state was set up to provide a safety net for people who needed it. But increasingly it has become callous, cruel and bureaucratic, and it's been used as a weapon to punish people who cannot defend themselves. And I believe this is being done for populist reasons. It's being done to please Daily Mail readers, as a way of saying, oh, look, we're making the unemployed work for the money. But what the wider public need to understand is cases like this are not unusual. And it's particularly vulnerable people like the disabled and people with learning difficulties who are suffering from this. I've heard cases of terminal cancer patients being told that they're fit for work. The DWP at best is incompetent, but I think it's worse than that. I think there's a deliberate callousness going on here. Anyone who's been through the system will know what I'm talking about. And I'm not saying every single person who works for the DWP is like that, but there are too many people who seem to get a kick out of having control over other people's lives. With the click of a finger, they can deduct money. The system thrives on threatening people. Every piece of correspondence is a threat. And for someone suffering severe anxiety, you can imagine what that's like. It's absolutely reprehensible. So they claim that their usual high standards have been fallen short. I would argue they are profiting off exploitation, of taking advantage of vulnerable people. I think it's absolutely disgusting, and I think the head of Capita should hang their head in shame. But these people are unaccountable. They're faceless, cards. It makes my blood boil when I read cases like this. And this situation, this sort of approach to our welfare state has literally driven people to suicide. This is a dark, shameful legacy over the last 8 years of Toryism. And it makes me so angry, and it's why I cannot bring myself to vote Conservative. As sceptical as I am about Jeremy Corbyn in foreign policy, on the domestic front, you do need someone being vocal about things like this, and to be fair, he has. It's absolutely reprehensible. Shame on the DWP, and shame on Capita and other parasitical vultures who are basically making a profit of this sort of situation. It's absolutely disgusting. I don't think there should be any contractors involved, because I think they're all morally bankrupt. And it makes me so angry to read cases like this. In fact, for a while, I deliberately tried to stay away from reading stuff like this because it made me so angry. Still does. I haven't seen Daniel Blake, but from what I gather, it was very, very close to the mark. Anyway, I'm going to round this up. I'll put a link to the article. It's utterly shameful.